Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I've decided to do crab, macaroni, and cheese. For this recipe, you are going to need 454 grams of cavatappi pasta. I am just using some regular ribbed elbows here because I do not feel like going and buying a specific type of pasta for this. You're also going to need 454 grams of crab meat, preferably lump crab meat, but I do not have that. I just have claw. You're also going to need 113 grams of butter. You're also going to need 60 grams of all-purpose flour. That is half a cup of both of these. You're also going to need 1.5 teaspoons of seafood seasoning. You're also going to need 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. You're going to need half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of ground mustard, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. You're also going to need 56 grams or 2 ounces of cream cheese. You're also going to need 1,185 milliliters or 5 cups of whole milk. And I am doing 1 cup of that 5 in heavy cream, so that's going to be 237 mils of cream if you decide to do that. You're also going to need 415 grams or 5 cups of shredded cheese. I'm just using Fiesta blend. And for the topping, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter. You're also going to need 60 grams or half a cup of panko. You're also going to need 1 tablespoon of shredded Parmesan cheese. I am going to do that myself. I don't like that stuff you buy in the jar on the shelf. You're also going to need 1/4 teaspoon of additional seafood seasoning. To get started, you're going to want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to want to get a 13 by 9 baking dish, and you're going to want to prepare that with some cooking spray to prevent sticking. I'm going to go ahead and just say, since some of these things don't really line up with my recipe, I'm doing a half of a batch today because it's only going to be me and 1 other person. I don't need to make enough for 6 people, so that's out of the way. You're going to want to go ahead and just cook your pasta according to the direction on the back of the pasta box, and you're going to want to cook those until they are al dente, and you're going to want to drain those and set those aside. I'm going to go ahead and just pause this video right here while I go ahead and get that done. Okay, so while my water's getting ready to come up to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and just sort through my crab meat to make sure there is no cartilage or shells in here. And of course, you can't go without trying a little bit. And I'm going to try and keep this in uniform pieces. But if you can't achieve that, that is fine. You don't need to. This kind of already looks like it's shredded a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and pause this and bring you back here in a couple of minutes after this is all done. Okay, so my macaroni is done, and it is setting off to the side in some cold water so it will not continue to cook sitting in the strainer. What you're going to want to do is you are going to want to go ahead and get your butter melted. I'm going to turn my heat on a medium, and I am going to melt my butter. And once this is melted, I'll go ahead and bring you back. Okay, so my butter is melted now, and I'm going to go ahead and add in my flour and give this a good mix. And it should start coming together, and the oil should be absorbed by the flour, and you're going to want to go ahead and just let this cook here for about 1 minute. And you're going to want to stir it constantly. You're not just going to want to let it sit here. And I'm sorry if you hear any noise in the background. That's a neighbor's dog barking right next to the wall in my kitchen, so just love living in apartments. It kind of gets annoying after a while, but you just grow used to it. Especially living in a studio apartment. I'm surprised I can even get anything done in this little kitchen. I'm going to go ahead and just add in this seasoning right now. And give that another good mix. And I'm going to let that cook there for about 30 seconds. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding in the milk very slowly and stirring at the same time. To help prevent lumps. And now I'm going to go ahead and just add the rest of it in, since it's pretty much incorporated. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the half a cup of cream. And give that another good mix. And you're going to want to go ahead and raise your heat off of that medium up to a high. And you're going to want to go ahead and bring this up to a boil. And once it comes up to a boil, you are going to want to go ahead and lower your heat down to a low. And you are going to want to simmer this for 3 to 5 minutes. And you are going to want to pretty much stir it every 30 to 45 seconds to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pan and scalding. And I will go ahead and bring you back with the next step so you don't have to sit there and watch this pot of milk boil. Okay, so this has been simmering now for about 2 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut the heat. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the cream cheese. And just let that sit in there for a little bit to melt. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my cheese. And I'm going to go ahead and give this another stir. Probably would have been a little easier if this cream cheese was room temp. But I just pulled it out of the fridge before I started filming, so it's not quite room temp, so it's going to take a little bit to melt in this. Alright, so now what you're going to want to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and add in about 1 cup of my cheese, since I am doing a half of a batch. But if you're doing a full batch, you're going to want to go ahead and add in 250 grams or 3 cups of that cheese. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in a large handful. And now I'm going to have that to clean up. Thankfully it's not too hot, so it shouldn't really burn. I'm going to go ahead and just add a little extra. Set that off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and stir to incorporate. And while that's sitting there melting a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and drain off my macaroni. And I'm going to give this another mix. And this is about ready at this time. I'm going to go ahead and add in my crab. And give this another mix. And if you're using lump crab, you do not really want to mix this vigorously. You do want to try and keep some pieces of crab still intact. Okay, so I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and bring my drained macaroni and dump this into that. And I'm going to get a rubber spatula to clean the sauce pot out. And I'm going to give this a stir to incorporate. And I'm going to go ahead and set this back off to the side. I am going to get one of my smallest skillets, which is behind this big one here. And I'm going to set that down. And I'm going to turn this on high to bring the burner up to temp right quick. And this is to melt this butter. And I just remembered I have cheese in the bottom of my drip pan, so it is going to start smoking, which I don't really care right now. So I'm just going to let that continue to smoke and do whatever. And once this is melted, you're going to want to add in your panko, your seafood seasoning of your choice, and you're also going to want to go ahead and add in your parmesan. Now this is way more than a tablespoon. I'm only doing this because I'm going to top my pan with it instead of putting it in the breadcrumb mixture. So now I'm going to go ahead and add this in, and you're just going to want to toast these for a little bit until they start getting a little golden. That's probably going to take about a minute or two. And I am going to go ahead and just add in some of my seafood seasoning. Screw those little holes. I'm just going to do it this way. Right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this together again. And I'm just going to let that sit there for a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and just pause this. And I'm going to get my pan ready for the mac and cheese. Okay, so I'm back now. And I went ahead and just got my pan ready. And I'm going to dump in about half of this. Right about there. And I'm going to spread this out. Get that off of here. Make it easier. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a handful of cheese. Just try and don't really got to do it evenly. And I'm going to set that back off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the mac and cheese. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on my parmesan. Just trying to get it a little even. Don't really got to go for perfectly even, but And now I'm going to go ahead and add in my toasted pankos. And if you want to, you could alternatively just add these at the very last part. You don't need to bake it with this part on. You can just top each individual serving with this. But I'm going to go ahead and just add this onto it now. At this point, it's ready to go in the oven, and you are going to want to bake this in your preheated oven for 30 to 40 minutes. And you do not really need to cover this, but if you're afraid that the top might burn, you can go ahead and cover it if you would want to. And I would go ahead and cover it for half of the cook time, and then I would go ahead and just uncover it after half of the cook time is over, and go ahead and serve. At this time, this is pretty much done and is ready to go in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and just end this video right here. So I hope everybody enjoys this video, and as always, please don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button and leave a comment. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you continue to enjoy watching me on this journey of mine.